Man playing God, creating a monster even greater than man. The era of modern science fiction kicked off with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, where Victor Frankenstein created a monster that cursed his own creator and turned against him. Adam Warlock was created as a perfect sinless being, and the knowledge of it and his ability to absorb human souls drove him insane and made him try to make himself a god. Adam Warlock is one of the most powerful characters in Marvel and is going to finally debut in the third Guardians of the Galaxy film in 2023. But the Adam Warlock in comics has a complex history and a major role cut from where he might have already appeared in the MCU. I'm Dan Umpton, and this is the Doomcast. Hey, thanks everybody for watching. Do me a favor and click subscribe and hit the bell. I make about one of these a week, and I'd hate for you to miss even one. So thanks for continuing to watch. On Fantastic Four 67, Reed Richards grew a beard for the very first time after spending 2 days reverse engineering a teleportation device that led Ben, Johnny, and him to a place called the Enclave, where this Enclave had kidnapped Thing's girlfriend, and now wife, sculptor Alicia Masters. Among the other super science projects that was there was also a cocoon built to gestate a perfect living being. The four scientists who created him, with a capital H, wanted a literally sinless super being that could be the master of Earth. But the Enclave was destroyed after Reed, Human Torch, and the Thing rescued Alicia Masters. Later, the Golden Boy, tussled with Thor and was pretty well forgotten for a number of years, destined to be another Stan Lee, Jack Kirby one-off creation, amongst many others to never appear again. But Roy Thomas and Gil Kane thought to reuse the character in 1970 in the first Marvel premiere, as an homage to Captain Marvel from DC, Fawcett Comics, and inspired partly by Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar, they reimagined him as Adam Warlock, the savior of Counter-Earth, a planet in orbit at the opposite side of the sun from the Earth, specifically hidden and populated by animal men created by the High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary in the sense that he created a whole planet with accelerated time for evolutionary experiments, not that he smoked a ton of weed, although, he was creating animal men, so... Anyway, he gave Adam a soul gem that let him steal and capture the souls of other living beings. Unpublished again for a brief period of time, this is where Jim Starlin's hand substantially changed the character forever. He took Warlock to a more cosmic level, as he did with most of his stuff at the time. He reimagined Warlock as not just a celestial messiah, but one that's incredibly conflicted. In his own words, a paranoid schizophrenic. Warlock teamed up with Pit the Troll, Gamora, and Thanos against a future version of Adam known as the Magus, a dark version of himself driven mad from stolen souls, and he leads a group of zealots called the Church of Universal Truth. He discovers the being known as the In-Betweener, the embodiment of duality destined to force him to become the Magus. Adam travels to the future to steal his own soul from himself to prevent himself from ever becoming the Magus. Holy cow. But Thanos be Thanon, and he betrays the rest of his crew in hopes of obtaining the other 5 gems, known as the Infinity Gems. His quest to obtain them triggers the events of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, eventually. Silver Surfer getting Adam and his friends to leave their paradise that they've come to within the Soul Gem, called Soul World, and help defeat Thanos. But the Living Tribunal decides Adam is entirely too dangerous to possess the Infinity Gauntlet either, and made him disband all of the gems and to his frequent collaborators, now known as the Infinity Watch. Which, if you paid attention to the last 15 years of Marvel movies, the kind of time where that critical period of him being involved in the storyline just kind of passed. That's really what a lot of people thought was going to happen in Avengers Endgame. That this being that you saw teased in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie was going to show up out of the Soul Gem and possess that, takes Thanos into it, and turn time back, unblip everybody, or take them all out of Soul World, which may have been inside of the gem. But they didn't do that. Instead, they prognosticated the pandemic and everyone being isolated and traumatized for 2 years and moved everything forward 5 years, which is nuts. But, now, where do you even put this character now that Thanos isn't there and the gems are gone. Is he a variant of a being that did defeat Thanos in a completely different timeline? I have no idea. Anyway, back to comics. The two major recurring villains of Adam's are Thanos and himself as the Magus. Adam, as a perfect being, is beyond real death. He has no soul for death to really claim anymore, so anytime he dies, he regenerates and comes back stronger. Usually. He's always been super strong, fast, nearly invulnerable, but his powers increased massively when he was resurrected again after the events of Infinity Watch, this time as part of the Guardians of the Galaxy on the Abnett and Lanning run. He unleashes most of his power to fix a tear in space-time in a battle with the Annihilation Wave and emerges again, transformed into the Magus. This Magus is defeated again, and in time Adam finds his way back from death, and again so does the Annihilation Wave. This time, though, the wave is coming for Adam, since he's again vastly overpowered. He's captured, but during a rescue attempt by Pip the Troll, he accidentally wipes out all of existence. Yes, he can apparently do that. God, the one above all, recreates the entire universe and makes this Adam the new living tribunal of that universe. So he snatches his former self away before his death and makes him Adam again. All very circular. Most recently, Kang the Conqueror sealed a resurrected Adam in a tomb for several thousand years so he can possess the Soul Gem again, and safeguard those gems from Thanos. Now, in the process, Gamora turned into a being called Requiem and became a real threat. She used the reality gem to fuse a ton of characters like Moon Knight and Spider-Man into Arachnite, and Cap and Strange into Soldier Supreme in a place called Warp World. Now, Adam allied himself with them to defeat a creature called Devondra, an entity that is born of the Soul Gem that could reweave reality entirely if she fed on enough souls. Warlock has always been a really complicated character, and a herald of major comic events, usually very cosmic or reality warping. He might be one of the most powerful beings in Marvel, but he's also one of the most volatile as well. Will Poulter is perfectly cast as Adam Warlock if they do him right. But what they're going to actually do with him, I honestly have no idea at this point. Because the most obvious storyline that they could have inserted him into has completely passed. So, we'll see. Thanks everybody for watching. This has been the Doomcast. We'll see you next week.